about the archaeology skill? Yes, you have. It has been the worst kept secret of 2019, but the joy is that there's so much more that you don't know, which is great. And that's because it's so much more than a skill. On one hand, it's a gathering skill, like your fishing and woodcutting, getting your knees dirty to gather puzzle pieces of our past from the God Wars or the Zoroastrian Empire and more. But on the other hand, archaeology is actually a manufacturing skill, like your fletchings and smithings, putting artifacts back together to create treasures that have so many uses. Okay, we're going to need more hands. Archaeology is also 5 new areas waiting for you to delve into, including subterranean Al-Kharid, the far-flung reaches of Mauritania, and below the wilderness. And archaeology is also swathes of rewards. We're talking about 3 new genres of reward that's going to mix up play, particularly for higher level players. Okay, let's get started. Let's jump in to the gathering side of the skill, excavating. Okay, so unless you're a Wikipedia whiz or an archaeology major, you don't know that this is a mattock, which is the humble pickaxe, if you will, of archaeology. You'll get that joy of progressing through the mattocks as you level, similar to mining. Note the crystal mattock, the incando mattock, and the mattock of space and time. So you're probably thinking about how you'll get these. It's with these that you gain your first archaeology XP. You'll find excavation hotspots at dig sites, uncover and keep materials from lost ages, and get those dusty gains. How will it feel? So there's a smidge of the mining rework to it. There's no competition, but you are all in the same place as each other. And occasionally excavation sites will become extra worthwhile, highlighted by time sprites in similar ways to Rocketunities, which is always a terrible name, and I'm sorry for calling it that. But while you're going to be spending a decent amount of time gathering, the real fun comes from these. And this is the manufacturing side, artifacts. Occasionally, as you excavate, you will find damaged artifacts. And what you see here is 1/5 of what you'll be able to find. And these artifacts are the real treasures of the past, things of significance from lost ages. They'll be broken when you find them, and it's up to you to restore them. And this is where the materials from the gathering part of the skill really help. You'll require certain materials for each artifact, and they're tradable, which makes swapping with other players for that last material at a dig site a real highlight. But fixing an artifact is the lion's share of the XP. You'll get a gigantic chunk when you're done. But what do you do with them once they are done? Well, welcome to the newly refurbished dig site in Varrock for the 2nd time this year. Well, they'll make that choice regularly. And this is part of the skill I really love. I really love the sorting element, where you're trying to decide whether or not to keep something or contribute it to something else. Because you can hand it to a collector, perhaps, including some of the most famous characters in the game, Wise Old Man, Bent Nose and Wartface, for some of the best rewards in the skill. Or does it belong in a museum, where they'll give you chronotes, which are a new currency for archaeology that can be exchanged for kick-ass rewards? Or do you keep the item for yourself, particularly if it may have a future benefit for you? And that's not even scratching the surface of what you can do here. You can build a research team, again from some well-known characters who will discover new ways for you to train. You can also start getting your qualifications in archaeology, completing feats from across the skill to give you access to even more stuff. And as you master each of the dig sites in the game, they will come with a central mystery to be resolved. So there's a huge story component to archaeology. Dig sites. So this is where the skill really starts showing its teeth. As much as you might want to be scrubbing up bones, finding a series of small walls with tiny brushes, sometimes you just want to raid a tomb, explore the uncharted, or go on a last crusade. So to talk about these dig sites, I'd like to bring onto the stage someone who has been working on this for about 18 months, who's been pitching it closer to 3 years, our part-time tour guide, Mod Timbo.
Hello everyone, and welcome to Timbo's Tours. And this afternoon, I will be your guide on a tour of archaeology. Today, you'll get the chance to see some of the awesome sites and a taster of what you'll be able to get your hands on. Let's head first to the Caridian Desert for our first stop of Caridet. Found near to the Jewel Arena, this ancient fortress and stronghold once housed Zarus' armies and fell to the ongoing onslaught of Zamorakian forces during the God Wars. Previously thought lost to all Zoroastrian allies, this excavation site's manager, a certain Dr. Nabanek, knows different. Unlocked at level 5 Archaeology after completion of your first qualification, this is where your journey begins through the skill. Do not fret, however, this is not an excavation site just for interns. Hidden in the deep vaults, you'll excavate Zerosian weapons, opulent religious pieces relating to Zaros himself, and unearthed scrolls relating to ancient magics. Our next stop takes us to the eastern coast of Mauritania, where some of our more eagle-eyed tourists have already seen this in the volcano. We now know modern Mauritania to be dark and full of blood-sucking terrors. But this was once a Saurodominus stronghold, and the jewel of that was the Iceni settlement of Everlight. Thank you. At its heart was Everlight itself, a towering lighthouse which illuminated the coast and provided much-needed light to the Iceni who once lived here. In recent times, the light has dimmed since the settlement was sacked, and Venescula, the excavation site manager, has tasked the player to extinguish it so that she can get some more much-needed beauty sleep. This is one of the sites which unlocks at level 20, and here you'll be excavating Icenic cultural items, discovering more about the Dominion Games, and learning about how this once great landmass fell into the islands we now know. Next up, deep below the wilderness, under the scar left by the Sword of Edicts thrust into the ground by Guthix, lies the infernal source. Not much is known about the fiery rings of brimstone other than they will have a demonic connection to Zamorak, and it deserved to be struck by Guthix in order to shut it down. Here, also starting at level 20 Archaeology, you'll be excavating Zamorakian cult relics, delving deeper into Zamorak's cult connection with demons, and learning more about how demons were brought to Gillinor. Now, we've had a tour of 3 excavation sites of Caradet, Everlight, and the Infernal Source. It's time to talk about 2 more sites for which Timbo tours haven't quite sent our expeditions to quite yet. We can't take a look and see what's going on there right now, but I can give you some quick teasers and their names. Stormguard Citadel and the Warforge. Now, it's time to ditch the binoculars for sightseeing and head down to the real meat of the tour, and what you all want to hear about, the rewards. What treats lie in store for intrepid archaeologists who excavate and restore artifacts from the past, you might ask? Well, let's get started talking about ancient summoning. Deep in the heart of the infernal source, after discovering the secrets and unearthing its treasures, you will learn how to bind the will of powerful demons to you through the summoning skill. Using a binding contract forged with new materials found in the infernal source, with your usual charms of course, you'll be able to bind existing demonic slayer creatures and summon them with all of their own unique effects. I don't have the full itinerary written down here for the tour, but I do have a few sneak peeks. First up, we have the Ripper Demon. The Ripper Demon's passive effect will be to deal more damage to its target for how much health it has. And its scroll effect will be to replicate the Ripper Demon's death jump attack. Next up, we have the Abyssal Demon. The Abyssal Demon will automatically teleport to its target to deal damage, and its active scroll effect will be to teleblock and bind your current target. Lastly, we have the Calgarian Demon. The Calgarian Demon will be the most powerful summoning familiar in terms of combat stats up to date, and its active scroll effect will be to provide you, itself, and nearby friendly players a critical strike buff temporarily. Now, we often look back to our history and often think they're not as technologically advanced as we are right now. However, that is not the case in Gillinor. By discovering the teachings and blueprints of Gillinor's own Da Vinci, you will be able to create brand new devices and perks using materials found disassembling artifacts and materials excavating during archaeology. First up, we have the ancient Gizmo. Covering all 3 different types of gizmos, such as weapon, tool, and armor, you will need to use ancient gizmos in order to obtain the new perks from archaeology materials. That's not all, however. All 9 slots in the ancient gizmo will be unlocked, allowing you to experiment further and find perk combinations and ranks previously undiscovered. Next up, we have the XP Capacitor. If you've ever wanted to level up your augmented items faster, to either siphon them or to get those juicy level 20 benefits, then this is the device for you. An empty XP capacitor takes some of the item XP you would normally earn from your augmented items and instead siphons it into the capacitor. Once the device is full, it can be traded to other players and they will earn double item experience until the capacitor runs dry. It's like bonus XP, but for your invention items. Another device unearthed from the past is the Kinetic Dynamo. Not content with just using Guthix juice to power up your invention needs, the Kinetic Dynamo will be able to create divine charges by simply running around or surging. Once you've done enough running around with the Kinetic Dynamo, it will charge up, spit out divine charges, and then break. The final thing to talk about for ancient inventions today is the ability to further enhance invention-created tools like the Fishermatic, Hammertron, and Pyromatic. Using the materials found from the past, you've discovered ways to make the tools more efficient and act like level 80 tools instead of level 72 tools they act right now. Let's move on to the real jewel of our tour today and what we are calling relics. Powerful items from RuneScape's history have been rediscovered, and it's up to you to find and harness their powers. In doing so, you will earn permanent, powerful, passive effects which are always active. You'll be able to choose up to 3 of these relic powers and pay chronos in order to change and choose between them. These relic powers are incredible, and here are just 2 of the 20 plus effects we will have at release for you to get your hands on. First up, we have what we are calling the Abyssal Link, which allows you to cast teleportation spells without casting runes. However, the spells no longer give XP. And the second one to talk about is what we are calling Slayer Introspection. When you are assigned a Slayer task, you'll be able to choose between either the maximum or minimum amount of creatures you want to kill. One last thing. During your time excavating the once lost wonders of the world, you'll come across some powerful artifact weapons which you can restore even further to become exceptional weapons. If you look now behind me, you can spot one of them, which we are calling the Spear of Annihilation. Alas, my section of the tour is over. Thank you for traveling on Timbo tours today, but now it is time to hand back to our expedition leader, Mod Osborne.
Bless you, Timbo Face. Okay, this is the bit where I get to completely steal all of the mic drops from the archaeology team and do them myself. So first off the bat, is this an elite skill? Does it go up to 120? Okay, this is not an elite skill. This is a skill that everyone can play as soon as it drops. And I can reveal that archaeology will be going up to 120 on launch. As you can see from everything we've talked about, we've spent a large amount of time, love, sweaty buttocks and dirty mattocks, and packing this skill to the rafters. And more content will be dropping into the skill over the year and beyond. It's worth noting there will be an embargo on all lamps, stars, bonus XP, double XP and other skill boosts until 6 months after the skill launches. We also wanted to remove the barriers from experiencing it. So we'll be raising the skill cap from 5 to 20 for free to play, giving everyone the Caridette dig site to rummage around in. And if this goes well, then we'll look to do that with other skills. Oh, and I wanted you all to meet the skill pet. Okay, RuneFest, I would like you to meet Archi. It's a child mummy, which is odd to say, but he can be rude and impatient. Of course, he will act as an override for your familiars, which is when you really get to see him at his best. Go on, Archie. There we go, looking cool. Now, for many of you, this will be the ultimate prize. Or perhaps you'll be shooting for the Master Skill Cape beyond this. We'll keep the perks under wraps for now, mainly because you won't have the context of whether or not they're good. But the skill icon may well change up to launch, so please do give us feedback. But there's something about that black and white that I find pretty slick. Okay, and I think it will look great with one of these, which is the Archaeology Elite Skilling Outfit. Now, this is coming out on launch of the skill and is entirely gained from archaeology. This will use something other than the fragment system for you to, that you may be used to. So you'll have to do some very specific things to gain it. I won't tell you now, but do get the archaeology team drunk later to find out. Okay, now for the doozy, the release date. Okay, you can see the development is hugely progressed. You'll have played the demo in the volcano, at least if you're here and not watching on the stream. You'll be playing archaeology and all 5 of its dig sites, ancient invention, ancient summoning, relics and more in January 2020. Okay. Prepare to get a whole lot of sand in your crevices. Thank you very much.